How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the new horror film Night Swim. Now, the first week of January has always been notorious for having horror films be released that week. And with the past results, we've turned out that they haven't been good. However, last year we had M3 which I did not like as much as a lot of people, but that was still a fun surprise. So now this year, Blumhouse is returning with Night Swim. The film stars Wyatt Russell as a former baseball player with MS, and in hopes of returning to pro baseball, he moves his family into a home with a swimming pool in the backyard to not only provide the physical therapy that he needs for himself, but also just for the kids to have fun in. However, there is a dark secret in the home's past that will unleash a force that will drag the family under into its depths of the unescapable terror. I went into this movie knowing very little, and by very little, I did not watch any trailers. I have actively avoided all of the trailers for this movie. I have no interest in this movie, but you know what? I decided to go check it out. It's the first horror film of the new year, so what could go wrong? Well, a lot could go wrong. Now, I really like Wyatt Russell's performance in this movie. I think the bones for this movie, where you have an ex-baseball player trying to get back to his roots, trying to get better in order for him to return to that dream that he had, I think those bare bones right there is perfect for the making, and I think it suited the film. However, this movie is basically everything that you think it's going to be, and there's no surprises in here. It's basically a typical jump scary horror film that were probably the cheapest thing outside of the film's budget. I was not the biggest fan of this movie, and starting within the first 5 minutes of this movie, I knew exactly what kind of movie this was going to be, and it turned out to be that. But this movie is cliched to the bones. We have seen this movie so many times before, and while I think Wyatt Russell does his very best to keep this movie afloat, not even he and Carrie Condon can keep this movie afloat, because this movie is just jump scare galore from beginning to end. There's no really big surprises in here, and it's all toppled down with some awful CGI that you would expect to see in this type of movie. When it comes down to Blumhouse films, they're like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Sometimes they'll surprise you, and sometimes, well, you knew exactly what you were going to get. When it came down to Night Swim, it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's a generic supernatural horror movie with cheap jump scares that are easily scared and will easily jump, and that's who this movie is really targeted to. And it's not that I came out hating it, it's the fact that I came out somewhat disappointed, because for a small fraction of this movie, it was working for me, where you have Wyatt Russell and his condition, and he's trying to get back to those glory days. When we were focused on that, I think that is where the movie was working for me. But whenever we got out of that and we were just dealing with the pool, it was basically a wash, rinse, and repeat cycle that it happened every single time, and it's just filled with people who make stupid decisions, and you kind of want to slap some sense into them, but you can't because they're on the screen. The performances are fine for what they are. They try to sell you on these performances, but these are characters you don't really give a shit about, besides Wyatt Russell's character. It's generic, it's predictable, you know exactly how this movie is going to end. It takes all those tropes and does nothing new with it. And even though I knew exactly what I was getting myself into, even when we get to the end game of this movie, I started having a lot of logic problems here. And even when it comes down to a couple of the characters that make stupid decisions towards the end of the movie, and well, basically throughout the entire movie, it's a January movie to make money this weekend, and that's exactly what it's going to be. It's nothing new, it's nothing refreshing. I just wanted to have some fun, and I just came out bored as all hell. But those are my thoughts on Night Swim. Are you guys planning on checking this film out, or is this a movie that you have zero interest? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys for the next review.